All good things must come to an end. Remember that old saying? As a child, when I was told this by the boring grown-ups, I never really understood it, or maybe I just didn't want to hear it. When we're young, we fully immerse ourselves in anything that brings us joy, and we automatically expect it'll go on forever. So we're pretty devastated when it doesn't, and we're told it's time to go home or go to bed. I've no doubt that I argued with my parents when the fun stopped. I was a bit of a rebel from a very early stage, and probably stamped my foot and told them it was completely unfair. And anyway, why do all good things have to come to an end? Why doesn't Christmas carry on, or why can't we stay at the zoo or on holiday forever? I can now look at that saying from a very different viewpoint. There are no endings, just pauses. You see, I don't think it's true that good things come to an end, because I don't believe in endings, just temporary pauses. That tautology. Just as I don't believe in death being an ending, but rather the experience of the soul departing yet another body, as if stepping out of a fancy dress costume and returning to the place that is our real home for rest, recovery, and to re-experience the state of oneness before preparing to come back into a new body, a new life. If it was Christmas every day, or we were permanently on holiday, would we appreciate it? If you're someone who loathes Christmas, then you're probably shuddering at the thought of it being permanent. If the sun shone brightly from a blue sky every day of the year, or we got birthday cake complete with candles and a big pile of presents every day of the week, would we get the same enjoyment? I'm told that in India there is huge excitement and anticipation every year just before the monsoons start, after many months of baking hot and dry weather. I reckon it's all about balance. If life was totally boring and we were constantly working with nothing to look forward to or celebrate, most likely we would have an underlying feeling of mild to major depression. We might turn to food or alcohol to briefly feel better. We might even start using drugs or become gamblers. Even in early times, when the rich were very rich and the poor were very poor, they were given time off, albeit very little compared to today's standards, and they looked forward to simple pleasures, like visiting family or friends or spending time in nature. Feast days were also important, and a lot of time and effort went into the preparations for them. How interesting that those feast days were aligned to the seasons. Medieval societies celebrated the grandest feast during the dreariest times of year. The 2-week period from Christmas Eve to 12th day, January the 6th, became the longest holiday for workers. The lord of the manor or castle often gave bonuses of food, clothing, drink and firewood to servants. Houses were decked with holly and ivy, and giant Yule logs were brought in and burnt throughout the 2-week celebration. Plough Monday took place the day after Epiphany, and free men of the village would participate in a plough race to begin cultivation of the town's common plot of land. Children would play the role of fool plough and go from house to house asking for pennies. Those who refused would find the ground in front of their door ploughed up. Easter, as Christmas, was a day for exchanging gifts. The castle lord would receive eggs from villagers and in return provide servants with dinner. May saw celebrations of love, especially on the 1st. Villages would venture into the woods to cut wildflowers and other greenery for their homes to usher in May and hope for a fertile season. In the period following the Second World War, with a huge upsurge in the development of technology, we've been conditioned to look for pleasure in faster and more materialistic ways, commonly known as instant gratification. But just like food or alcohol, it is exactly that, and there's no lasting pleasure. Perhaps this has caused us to become more impatient and expect results immediately. I want it and I want it now. returning to the idea that we need balance in our lives, then it's good for us to accept that there are going to be quieter and what some might call duller periods in our life, and to settle into those times in the knowledge that they are important and they won't last forever. During these quieter periods, we can enjoy living with the rhythms of nature. After all, if we didn't have autumn and winter, then we wouldn't have spring and summer, right? The long dark nights are a time for getting absorbed in gentler tasks and hobbies. Also the longer periods of sleep, so we're ready to be more active and outgoing when the days are longer and the weather is, hopefully, warmer. After all, if we can accept the idea that this planet and what we call nature was created before we humans came into existence, then we can also recognise that following the natural rhythms of the seasons is vital for our well-being and longevity. Do all good things come to an end? No, of course they don't. For every ending, there's a new beginning just around the corner. So the good things are only in pause mode. Perhaps that's why the French say au revoir and the Italians say ciao, rather than our more final goodbye. Let me leave you with one of my favourite verses that sadly has no attributable author. Sing like no one is listening. Love like you've never been hurt. Dance like nobody's watching. And live like it's heaven on earth.